Okay, I'm going to bring everyone up to speed since this is my first video for this bike. This started out as a Suzuki 650 Savage in '86, and got it as a Craigslist find, $300, and I'm going to take you to what I have now. I'll kind of back up, show you a little about how I started and did the frame and everything else, and I'll get you up to where I'm at now. So here's the bike as it stands now. The frame's fully hardtailed. I got the seat in place, rear tire, axles, everything's welded, exhaust. Getting pretty close to getting done. I just have to do the sissy bar and do a new intake. I want to mount the carburetor up to the side. But let's start you off with where I was originally. This base that you see down here, this steel base, I had some friends pulled some favors and had it made up at work. And then I took some scrap box steel, I think it's 3x5, and I made this piece for the front, which you'll see has some cones on it. That's for centering the steering neck, and I can adjust the angle. And if you look, I also slotted it here and here so I can adjust the height that I want, so I can get the rake and the actual position of the neck. Then in the rear, something similar, but it's for the axle plates where they'll mount here and here, and same thing, this is adjustable. And I had originally had them tacked onto this steel plate, but I think in the future when I do another bike, I'm going to get some more box steel like this, put two of them down so this one sits on each side and center it down the frame. This way I can adjust the axle plate and the steering neck either closer together or further apart. So that started me out, and what I ended up with was what you saw. But what I started with from the original frame, all that's left besides the forks, the engine, and the rims, which I relaced and painted, is the steering neck, the backbone. This was added later, this stuff up here, so this much of the backbone, and the down tube, which I cut off about here, and as you can see has a tapered steel piece. This is 1010 cold roll, and it actually extends in the tube up to here. So when I welded these two lower pieces of the frame, I could weld it in without having to worry about the tube collapsing. So where I'm at, that's what I started with. The frame got built all on the garage floor. A little bit of bending magic. I bent some DOM tubing, two upper wishbones as you see there and there, that come into the backbone under the tank, and then the lower ones which you saw attached to the down tube come down around and up onto the axle plate. Now I also made these two L-channels, L-steel, for supporting the frame. That gave me my distance and kept it centered and worked as a nice support while I was working on this. You can also see the kickstand. This started out from the original one. It was all one piece cast steel with the foot peg integrated. Cut all the crap off. Welded in some pieces here and here and got a bracket tacked in. Didn't come out too bad. So the difference, besides the frame from the original bike, is this engine is mounted 1 3/4 back and 2 inches down. So I also cut the ground clearance down from the stock was about 6 inches to about 4. So I really wanted to get this thing down, get the center of gravity down, just give it a leaner look. Then I also did the forward control mounts. I wanted something a little funky, something a little different. So when I fabbed in the engine mounts, which you see here and here, which grab the centerpiece, I made these pieces up that eventually are going to be completely seam welded. Right now I have them just plug welded on the inside and some welding on the side here. Eventually this will all be taken care of when I strip this all down and before I send it out for powder coat. Threaded rods just there to simulate when I put the forward controls in, which is going to be the next step actually. And I got the tank mounted, which was a fiberglass tank that came with the bike with the peanut tank. I think about 2.5 gallons. Wanted something a little different, so I put these little spires on. Kind of go with the theme that I have here when I did the gusset. This is all 11 gauge, which is 1/8 inch thick. I have one on this side, one on this side, and then the inside is all welded in place. So this is one solid piece. This triangulates this whole portion of the frame real nice. So any of the stresses brought up from the hardtail, this should handle it pretty good. The exhaust, about down to here, is the stock. After that, everything is handmade from me. It's some pre-bent stuff from Jegs. I believe it was 2 inch, and worked out pretty good. Finished it off kind of nice. Did the mount, as you can see there. The speedometer on this particular bike is mounted to the crankcase instead of the front forks, so it's kind of nice. I had some room. Mounted the speedometer up here. This is 4-inch exhaust tubing, again from Jegs. And as you can see underneath, I made up some plate out of 11 gauge, again 1/8 inch, to grab the stock mounting holes in the speedometer. So it fit kind of nice. The bracket up, again, helps triangulate the upper wishbones. So any of the force coming up, that'll take care of it. Then I got the seat mount. Well, when I got to the seat, I said I didn't want to do that stupid beehive springs that everybody and their sister does. So I came up with this. It's a aero-hydraulic shock from a mountain bike. I'm told they're about $400 brand new. I got this for $35. The guy was real nice to me because it was used. These two pieces here that you see are going to be welded completely to this cross brace going across. They have a 1-inch hole. This is 1-inch DOM, 1/4-inch wall. And by the way, the frame is all 1.25 DOM, 3/16 wall. So this is pretty stout stuff. The welding, again, it's all tacked in place, but this will be completely seam welded. And as you can see in here, will be welded around and onto this plate. If I did my math right, the torque on this tube is about 105 foot-pounds. So by the time I'm done with the welding, and I'm also going to pin those, there's one plate on this side and one on the other side. Once I pin those into the tube, everything should be fine. So what happens is, these two pieces are solidly mounted. So you can see the bottom of the shock mounts there. Then I have these two upper pieces that have some brackets on them that the seat mounts to, the seat pan. So this is going to be kind of stiff because I have some pressure on this shock right now, but you can see it moves pretty good. Right now that seat's set up for me. I'm about 165, 170 pounds. So it's pretty good. The shock only has about 100 PSI in it. It's good to about 350, so I could fit a pretty fat ass on there if I wanted to. The fender started out as a trailer fender. The radius was a little big, so I had to do a lot of pie cuts on both sides, reform the fender, weld them back in. You can still see some bumps here. I'm still in the process of doing some body and dolly work on this to get it as smooth as I can to minimize the amount of Bondo it's going to go on here. And the axle plates. It's about the only thing I needed a machine shop for. I did it on a milling machine at work because I needed the slot to be fairly accurate for the 17mm drill rod that goes through, which is I had to make a new axle up. So it worked out it was 17mm. So I just got some drill rod, drilled and tapped half 13s on either side. And there you go. The adjusters come in from the front, pull everything back. And when I have the forward controls, I'll start doing the linkages for this. I'll need a belt crank to change motion, but that'll be a later video. So, it's not too bad. Next thing I'm going to be working on is the sissy bars. Coming up with some kind of a unique design right now. But that's it for now. One other thing too while I'm at it, the handlebars. These were the stock handlebars from the Suzuki. They were mini apes. Probably, I don't know, 8 to 12 inch rise on them. Cut them out. Left this very small bend. I wanted something to be like similar to a drag bar, but not a straight bar. I wanted a little curve to it. Little style, if not anything else. So that'll get powder coated along with the frame and everything else. So the next step is going to be the sissy bar. And then I got to figure out the carburetor because I want it to mount out about here somewhere. So I'm going to go to Jegs again, get some 1 3/4 J-bend and come out of here and out, mount the carburetor out here with a flat air cleaner so The air kind of comes in on it, and then the next step is the compression release. These thumpers, or single cylinders, the starter motors are so small on them they can't overcome the amount of compression, so you have to use a compression release to get the starter to turn the engine over. So originally this had an electric solenoid on it. It was operated by the key switch. I'll do something manual just to reduce weight and make my wiring harness a lot easier. I'm hoping to have just tail light, brake light, and headlight and high beam, and that's about it. So that's it for now. I'll keep you up to date when I get the sissy bar done. See you soon.